And from good institute, it would have costed somewhere around 40 lakhs. I was thinking, I can ask this money from dad, no problem. But for becoming a pilot or an engineer, PCM is must. I could see her face glow up because she had never seen a 17-year-old kid speak so well. I had never spoken with a girl in my entire school days. What I did, I came back home and I started questioning myself. What could I have said? What could I have said? My height was like this only. I was tall enough from then at 16, 17, and I was shedding tears. I was crying because I realized that I failed and I was calculating money. I heard my dad's voice. अगर fail होगा तो खुद के पैसे का कमाना है. I pushed myself. I was like, I'll give an interview. We'll see what happens. Pathetic look. And I was like, Vicky, you still have time from, saving your embarrassment. Let's go back. Went there confidently that I'm going to get this job. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to become an engineer. I'll start earning. My dad used to work in income tax. 17, I was like having my boards, 10th standard, 16 to be precise. I was very good at mathematics till standard 6th. But the moment in standard 7th, it split into two, math 1 and math 2, like algebra, geometry, my brain started splitting also. I became like that Darshil Safari character from Tare Zameen Par. I had issues with mathematics, but I like counting money. So what happened then, my mathematics was weak right from 7th standard. I used to be number 1 in all the other subjects. Okay, I used to be very good at history, geography, English, Hindi, Marathi, science 1, science 2. 100, may say 98 I used to get. But with mathematics, out of 150, the passing was 52. I used to get 20, sometime 22 if the day is good. And if the weather conditions are better, then 35 max. But I used to clear 7th, 8th and 9th so far. Why? Because the teacher who used to check my other, marks for other subjects, she used to feel like, okay, let us push him forward. He'll get good by time. That was the reason why I used to be very good at other subjects. So one thing I'll tell you, if you are bad at something, you be good at other things in such a way that your, negative areas of improvement gets overshadowed. Okay, that is what I used to do. Now 10th, there is a challenge because it's a board exam. My class teacher is not going to clear that. So there is some other teacher from different school who will correct it, right? State board. Eventually, the same thing happened. I gave the examination. Every day I used to call my dad from the PCO, okay, public call office, and tell him how the paper was. Mathematics day, I did not call him. My dad asked me the evening, why didn't you call? I said, Dad, I was tired. I just directly came home. And on the day of interview, I still remember, I was in the balcony and I called my mom and I slowly told in her ears that, Mom, I may fail. And if I fail, it will be just one subject, just one. When you go to buy some apartments, only 3 crores, 9 crore, 99 lakh, 99 only. Like that, I used to tell my mom. Since I was a child, I used to be, not good at certain subjects. I used to tell mom, I'll clear crafts, I'll clear drawing, English I'll fail, but other PT, physical training, I'll pass. So this is how I used to, manipulate her. So when I told my mom in the balcony that, Mom, today if I fail, it will be just because of one subject and it will be mathematics. My mom was like, no problem, Mom, right? No problem. That's fine. I don't know for how my dad heard this. I don't know, dad, what kind of ears he had. Papa log ka kuch alag hi hota hai. He heard that. He was having lunch, chapati and some chana masala. I still remember to this day because that day changed my life forever. And he came to me in the balcony and, he said, agar fail ho gaya, to mere paise ka roti nahi khayega. You will have to earn your own money and bread. And I was shit scared. I was like, dude, I'm gonna die today because I'm sure I'll be, failing. I had checked my paper, how we do it. We come back home, we check, we put marks. I was getting exact 52, not less, not, max. I went to collect my results. Normally people see their, marks first, how much they got. I directly went to the result, pass or fail. And for some reasons, it was pass. I went to that name section, checked if it is my mark sheet, and it was like, yeah, Vicky David, and my result were pass. After that, I went to check the, marks. It was exact 52 out of 150. And I was like very happy, only for a few seconds. My dad came from behind. He asked me, kya ho gaya? Aaya result? I was like, yes, I passed. He was like very happy. He was very, very happy. He then went back home, went to the PCO, started calling all relatives, that usually what parents do, and start telling all the relatives, हाँ मेरा लड़का पास हो गया, आपके बेटे का क्या हाल है, this that. He was very happy. Now he was harsh, but he is not that kind of a dad like he sub mein you should get good marks. He's like, he pass, that is what it counts. So my happiness only lasted for 5 seconds because I was very clear कि पप्पा जो है अभी is very happy. But if I would have failed, यहीं अभी मुझे पैंट उतार के दे रहे होते हैं बेल्ट से, या तो मेरा मर्डर हो जाता है तो कुछ हो जाता. सो इनकी खुशी जो है, आई एम नॉट हैप्पी, आई एम जस्ट थिंकिंग ऑफ द वर्स्ट कि इफ आई वुड हैव फेल्ड, हाउ द लाइफ वुड हैव बीन. टोटल डिफरेंस 360 degree. So I decided I will work. You know why? Because I wanted to get into aviation. Either I wanted to get into become an aeronautical engineer or I wanted to become a pilot. Aeronautical engineer बनने के reason क्या था? No passion, nothing as passion and all. It's just that I was a kid, 17-year-old, less brains, and I was like, I will get to touch the aircraft with my bare hands if I become an aeronautical engineer. That was the only intention. And why pilot? Because it was cool, that's all. No idea how to become one. And back in the days, we never had Google. We used to read Times of India. Education Times was a section. I used to, read articles how to become a pilot. I discovered for CPL, SPL and CPL, student pilot license, commercial pilot license, that time it was costing 18 lakh rupees. That too from the worst of the institute in India. And from good institute, it would have costed somewhere around 40 lakhs. I was thinking, I can ask this money from dad, no problem. But for becoming a pilot or an engineer, PCM is must. Physics, chemistry, maths. Physics, I can manage somehow. Chemistry, I can manage somehow. But mathematics is a problem area. And my dad would have killed me for wasting his, like, let's say, 20,000 rupees for my 10th standard. If I waste his 40 lakh rupees, he'll bury me alive. So let me drop that idea of taking money from him and go to, go to an idea of me working and sponsoring my education. I was 16. मुझे लगा कि यार कमा लूंगा क्या है, 40 लाख क्या ऐसे ऐसे 40 लाख बना दूंगा, इंजीनियर बन जाऊंगा. So I had a habit of reading newspaper, by the way, because TV I used to watch news, and even today I have that habit of reading newspaper. So I went to one section, jobs, midday, big break, and there I saw openings for a BPO call center. Okay, and they said SSC, HSC, pass, fail, no bar, age, no bar, 300 people required, immediate joiners. And I was like, I become that character like Ali from the movie Dhoom series you have seen. Ali, imagine कर लेते ना, girlfriend, शादी, बीवी, बच्चे, सब. मैंने imagine कर लिया कि 300 लोग चाहिए, मैं select हूँ उसमें से, और पैसा ही पैसा होगा, I'll become an engineer. So I was very confident that I'm gonna get that job. I didn't had formals that time. The only formal I had was my school trousers, grey color, and formal shirt was a white shirt, but it would have looked like a uniform. So what I did, I wore my dad's shirt, okay, orange color checked one, and I went for that interview. Fortunately, that company where I had given interview, where I had gone for an interview, was just 15 minutes walking distance from my grandmother's home in Andheri, where I currently live. I used to stay in Sion. I went there in summer vacation sort of thing. Went there confidently that I'm going to get this job. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to become an engineer. I'll start earning. I reached the venue. I saw the building, and it was a huge building, like how the structures are like. I looked at the building, and my confidence went, disappeared. I was like, I don't see myself working in this company. इतनी बड़ी बिल्डिंग है, मुझको नौकरी मिलेगी नहीं मिलेगी. But I heard that voice. मन में से आवाज आई. क्या आवाज थी वो? कि they need 300 people. I was like, हाँ यार 300 चाहिए. I can just enter along with other 299, I went, I pressed the elevator button. The elevator came, first time going in an elevator, because where I used to stay earlier, we had only staircase. The moment I entered the elevator, there was a big mirror, now how usually the elevators have. And then I saw myself, and I looked at myself. I was like, what the hell am I doing? How am I looking? I was very thin, wearing dad's shirt, which was very loose, no proper shirt in, trousers were like school pants, pathetic look. And I was like, Vicky, you still have time from, saving your embarrassment. Let's go back. Let's go back. Again, I heard that voice. 300 चाहिए, हो जाएगा, chill Vicky. I said, okay. आराम से 14th floor दबा दिया. I went to that building. The moment I stepped out, the moment elevator door opened, to my surprise, to my shock, I saw 500 people waiting there. And those 500 were like really smart people, I could see. And they were not 16, 17 years old. They were 23, 24, 25. Guys were handsome, girls were hot, like that kind of category. And I had gone in school pant and, t-shirt, formal shirt. And my confidence gave up there. My confidence gave up. I was like, dude, time to leave. I'm not going to get selected here. But I heard a voice. You know what that voice said? What that voice said? 300? No, this time the voice was different. I heard my dad's voice. अगर fail होगा तो खुद के पैसे का कमाना है. I pushed myself. I was like, I'll give an interview. We'll see what happens. So the security guy asked my resume. I never knew there is something called as resume. What I had prepared was biodata. I didn't knew how to pronounce it. It is to be pronounced as biodata. I used to call it biodata. So he asked me my profile. I gave him my biodata and told me to sit. And he said the HR will call you and then you have to go for an interview. I was sitting there and this guy, that's my first interview in life who I gave to. This guy was tall, handsome. He came in and he was like, who's Vicky? I was shit nervous. I was like, me, sir. And he's like, okay, hi Vicky, come with me. So he took me along with him in a office space and he said, is this your first interview? And I said, yes, sir. I had taken a polythene bag, that Kit Kat bag, like a red color, green color kind of bag. I had taken that with me, all my mark sheets and biodata. He asked me, have you got your, biodata? I said, sir, already given to you. He said, yeah, do you have one more copy? I said, yes, sir. I opened that polythene and, kind of gave that biodata. He said, Vicky, let's begin the interview. Tell me something about yourself. This was the first time I was ever asked this question. And this is what I said to him. I said, okay, sir, my name is Vicky David. My address is room number 2330, building number 55, sector 7, CG's colony. He said, Vicky, what are you doing? I said, sir, telling about myself. He said, no, not like this. Like, tell me like, properly who you are, what you do, why you want to work. I said, okay, sure. He said, okay, then start. Tell me something about yourself. I said, sure, sir. Sir, my name is Vicky David, room number 2330, building number 55, sector 7. And he had that same expression which you are having right now. He's like, what the fuck is this dude doing? But he was a kind gentleman. He was just not handsome. He was good at heart. You know what he said? Vicky, we'll stop here. I understand that it's your first time giving an interview. Let me tell you how this question needs to be handled. Let me introduce myself to you. You follow the same format. He was very, very kind. And he's just started. And let me tell you, when he started speaking, when he started introducing himself, the way he spoke, the English that I heard, I never heard that kind of an English from my English teacher in life. I never heard. I mean, no offense to my teacher, they're all good, but then, in corporates, they speak very different. That was a different guy. And when he was speaking, I had my mouth open, I was listening to him. How can he speak something like that? It was just going bouncers. And after a few seconds, he was like, Vicky, are you there? I was like, yes, sir. He said, now your turn. I said, yes, sir. Tell me something about yourself. Yes, sir. So my name is Vicky David, room number 23. And he said, dude, you know what? It's not working out. It's not working out. What we will do is, he gave me a small feedback. He said, Vicky, we are looking for somebody with a polished English. Since we are US-based process, we need somebody with a polished English. Why don't you try again? You know what I did at 16? True story. I told this to the recruiter. Okay, sir, no problem. My grandmother's home is nearby. I'll come tomorrow this time. And then he told me, Vicky, it doesn't work like that. You cannot give an interview for next 6 months with us. And that came as a shock to me. I didn't know how it works, right? And then I left from there. How much time I said it takes from my grandmother's home to that office? 15 minutes. It took me 45 minutes to go back. I was walking, but it took me 45 minutes. You know why? My height was like this only. I was tall enough from then, at 16, 17, and I was shedding tears. I was crying because I realized that I failed, and I was calculating money that 6 months, now my 6 month has lost. How will I become a SPL? How will I get a CPL? Or how would I fund my education? I flunked. And I was crying and walking slow. Why I was walking slow? Because I was walking like this. I wasn't walking like this. I didn't wanted somebody to see that I was crying. I was just walking like this, with my head down. But when I came back home, I decided that I need to do something. And I'll tell you something in life. If you cry, it is okay, no problem. I cry even today, but I cry for a different reason every time. You getting my point? So if you were to go in a situation like this where you are crying, shedding tears, my friends, it's okay to cry. As a guy, also, it's okay to cry. But just one condition, don't do that in open. Okay? It's not good. But when you cry, promise yourself that next time you're not going to cry for the same reason again. Are we clear? So what I did, I came back home and I started questioning myself. What could I have said? What could I have said? I'm sure Rakshita must have done that when you sat. कि मैंने वो बोला होता तो कैसा होता? I could have said that. Or when I spoke to you, you must have thought कि मैंने वो बोला होता तो क्या होता? वो कहता तो क्या होता? Now I started doing the same thing. I wrote essay about myself. Tell me something about yourself. मैं लिखते गया. I think I wrote about 4 or 5 pages back and forth about myself, whatever I could. And I kept editing that, removing some part, keeping some part, modifying something. And I took this introduction thing and went to my sister. I said, before I go for my next interview, I'll practice it with my sister. Okay? So I went to my sister. I said, I call her Akka because she's like elder one. And I think that's what you call it here in Karnataka, right? Isn't it? Right. So I said, Akka, take my interview. Maza interview ghe and ask me this question. Tell me something about yourself. And she's like, yeah, sure, have a seat. Tell me something about yourself. And this time I started well. Good afternoon. My name is Vicky David. I am 17 years old. I have completed my standard 10th. And she said, where did you complete standard 10th from? Sister, na? That's why we hate sisters. I said, एक second. एक ही dialogue दिया है मैंने. Tell me something about yourself. ज़्यादा नहीं. And you know what she gave me back? She told me this. Will you say this to the interviewer? I said, यार, Eureka, ये तो fact बोला इसने. CV ला, I'll come back to you. I went back again, closed the door, started working. I took 3 months and I dissected my introduction and I prepared something called as PAQ that we were discussing in lunch. PAQ. PAQ stands for possibly asked question. What I just now did with you guys, when I was asking question with everybody out here, even started with Jeevan and all, I asked questions which were relevant to you. Nothing I asked out of the box. You know what? I asked whatever you told me about you, isn't it? Did I ask something else altogether? Did I ask her how hip hop is done? No, that is not her forte, right? See, if I'm selling chiku on a fruit cart, if I'm selling chiku, you can see chiku are there. You know what would you do? You would ask, भैया chiku कैसा दिया? That's what you do. अब दिख रहा है chiku है, you would not be asked, भैया वो आम है? भाई साहब chiku दिख नहीं रहे आपको? That's how it works. Likewise, in an interview, your recruiter will ask you question only from 2 things. One, your resume, my dear friends. Your resume. And second, tell me something about yourself. मैं जो भी आप बोलोगे, दूसरा सवाल उसी के अंदर से होगा. So what I did, I dissected my introduction. You have seen in that movies, that villain or that police officer will make maps, taking revenge. He'll put pin and photograph and ये मैंने वो कर दिया अपने resume के साथ. Sorry, introduction के साथ में. And resume के साथ में भी. Good morning, my name is this. तो मैंने लगा दिया. Tell me something about yourself. I am 17 years old. What can he ask me for 17 years old? What can he ask me for good morning? Why this morning is good? सारे सवाल मैंने किए and then I prepare myself, went for another interview. And what were those points? I will tell you. I went for another interview and this time it was not a guy. It was a girl taking an interview. And to be very honest, I had never spoken with a girl in my entire school days. Never. And now I was sitting with a recruiter, like how Nandini is sitting, like that distance. And on top of it, she was beautiful. So I'm scared. And plus, looking at her, I was shivering. My legs were shivering. My hands were shivering. And she's asking me, tell me something about yourself. And the moment she asked me this, because I had practiced, 3 months I took to write that introduction, I started. Good morning, ma'am. My name is Vicky David. I am blah, 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 blah. I started. I'll tell you the points later. And I could see her face glow up because she had never seen a 17-year-old kid speak so well. She was impressed. And she asked me another question. She asked me another question. So, Vicky, what is your strength? I said something which I fucked up and I was kicked out. But this time, I didn't cry and come home. I was very happy. I treated myself one extra vada pav that day. You know why? My goal was to handle that question. Tell me something about yourself, which I did, and I got another question. That's all it counts. I went back home another 1 week. I prepared for that answer, for that second question, and I went back. I gave another interview, third interview, and I kept giving interviews. For me to get my first job, it took me 6 interviews. 6 interviews. I don't have a happy TEDx story, motivation story कि guys फिर मैंने गया और मैंने कर लिया. आसान है, बहुत डिफिकल्ट था, आज भी बहुत डिफिकल्ट होता है. एक कॉलेज में आने के लिए मुझको 50 कॉल्स करने पड़ते हैं, 50 कॉलेज को कि ऐसा है, कैन आई कम. दैट्स व्हेन आई लैंड अप हियर. आर वी क्लियर दिस कॉन्सेप्ट? So it is not easy. Now the point is, I want you to understand what are those points which I prepared. When I wrote that self introduction, I gave it a name, and that I call the 9 golden points. So, my dear friends, now is the time that I will introduce these things with you, the points with you, the 9 golden points. I call it the 9 golden points because if you use it exactly the way I'm going to tell you, I promise you, it is getting recorded in others' phone, plus my phone also, but on records, I'm telling you that if you use this thing, you would get hired and not shortlisted. I told you the meaning of shortlisted. That's the meaning of shortlisted. The call will never come. Are we clear with this concept?